to cross the color line in sex.
There were two separate hearings, one for the white families and one for the black boys. And then the local judge sentenced the boys to reform school for a period not to exceed their 21st birthday. Now, they were 8 and 10 years old. He turned into kind of a one-man press office for the kissing case, and he managed to get this out onto the front pages of newspapers all over the world. The bad publicity really forced Hodges to intervene and release the boys after only 4 months. Hodges made a big show of how they had now been rehabilitated. One of the important things about the kissing case is that it brings Rob to a kind of national and even international recognition.
Then there was the case of Mrs. Reed, Mary Ruth Reed. She was, I think, 7 or 8 months pregnant. And this man, white man, came to her house, and first he tried to get her to go to bed with him, and she resisted, and he beat her, started attacking her.
The struggle went into the field between two houses, and her white neighbor saw Medlin beating her and pulling at her clothing and ran out. And she and her children were fighting with him, and the white woman came out and she saw what had happened, and he eventually left without having raped her, but he had tried.
So what had happened was that during this time, some men in the community, this woman also had some brothers, had 3 or 4 brothers, and the men in our guard said that we should kill this man.
Rob said, no, 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 let's let the law handle it. So, and Rob really believed in the law during those days.
They brought this man, Louis Medlin, the white man, brought his wife and set him at his side, all during the time the trial was on it. His lawyer got up and said, Judge, Your Honor, this man is not guilty, that he was just drinking, having a little fun. Said, you see this woman sitting here at his side? This is the pure flower of life, God's greatest gift to man, this white woman. And do you think that he would leave this pure flower of life for that? And so, that was the end of the trial.
They found him not guilty and dismissed the case. At that point, every black woman in the courtroom was in tears and angry and ready to do something. And they took the accuser out the back door. They took them out the back door, and when we all met down where Rob was, and he saw what our condition was and how, and one woman said, these people have declared open season on black women. What are you going to say now? What are we going to do now? And that's when he made that statement.
I made a statement that if the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution cannot be enforced in this social jungle called Dixie, it is time that Negroes must defend themselves, even if it is necessary to resort to violence. That there is no law here, and there is no need to take the white attackers to the courts because they will be freed, and that the federal government is not coming to the aid of people who are oppressed, and it is time for Negro men to stand up and be men, and that if it's necessary for us to die, we must be willing to die. If it's necessary for us to kill, we must be willing to kill.
Lord, I'm in trouble, trouble. makes me weep and moan. Lord, I'm troubled, troubled, since the day I was born. Lord, I'm troubled, troubled, sure won't make me stay. Lord, I'm troubled.
I think it's fair to say that both the NAACP, SCLC, the orthodox civil rights movement of the time, depended so heavily on white, northern, liberal support that they're fearful that embracing Williams or supporting Williams means immediately losing that support.
I wasn't going to crawl to try to appease and accommodate white people who were giving money, contributing money, that it was a matter of human dignity. So they said I was suspended for 6 months. The chapter said, well, if he's suspended for 6 months, then we will appoint his wife as the president of the branch, and that he will run the branch through his wife.
So we went uptown with Rob, and went to Oasis, and went in there and sat down. And people started moving things off the counter, and looking at us like we were something out of space. They had a little hole there, I call it a hole in the wall, where black people went to get served and walk out on the street, you know.
Coming down the street in town, we'd be coming down in line, in the file, and they would start locking the doors of these different lunch counters, closing down. Altogether, just to declare business closed until we left. Throngs of people started forming on the streets, and they said I should be killed.
(1961) was the 4th summer in a row that Robert Williams and the NAACP in Monroe had tried to integrate the swimming pools. So they kept showing up the pool with their shorts and their towels, and they did it over and over again. And you know, one time they went out there and they're standing around with their signs, you know, protesting the fact that that this pool is supported by tax funds and they're not permitted to use it. And people shot at them.
The shots that I remember came from across the other side of the creek, which was down the hill from the swimming pool. And there was this creek, and they were on the other side of the creek firing as you could hear the bullet whizzing over our heads, you know.
Chief of police was standing there. I asked him, did he hear these bullets? He said, no, he didn't hear anything. I told him, well, that was good. But I was glad to know that he didn't hear very well, because when we started shooting, he wouldn't hear it either.
We were coming up 601, and we reached the top of the hill at I think it was a Hilltop Cafe or something. This car comes out into the road and hits us, you know. And I think they were waiting for us because there was a lot of people there.
The police were there, supposedly directing traffic and ignoring the fact that the mob was closing in on Rob's car with the teenagers. And Rob saw that the police was not going to intervene to help them. And so he stepped out of the car and asked one of the teenagers in the back to pass him his rifle.
When they saw that we were armed, the crowd kind of, you know, held up. And then that's when the police got involved, because they were there all the time and saw what was going on, but they never moved until they saw we had weapons. And they wanted to come and take our weapons away, and Rob said, no, I ain't gonna give up my gun unless they give up theirs.
And I put the rifle in his face, so we're not gonna surrender to any mob. Then there was an old man out there that started crying. The man was just crying like a child, like a baby. He said, what is this country coming to? He said, the goddamn niggas got guns, and the police can't even arrest them.
And so that's where he got the title, Negroes with Guns.
Phone calls that would come throughout the night, oftentimes, where people would call